All right, we're starting to record this. All right. I think this is probably just as good as it's going to get. So this is Shir, is Le'ilui Nishmas.
David ben Abraham.
David ben Abraham. It was a week ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go.
What?
Here we go. So we said that you can put it in here. It becomes so strong. It's hard to. Yeah. There we go. So as we said, the way to be mevatel the Havas Rois, the bad, the distorted love in the heart of a person is when a person does three things. He connects his heart to the tzaddik. He, in other words, he's mekabel from the tzaddik, the kudah that the tzaddik gives him. And this is something which is, obviously, we all do that. We all receive from the tzaddik. And then there is an equivalent recovery from your friend, because every person has a nakuda that his friend does not have.
Every person has
A nakuda.
Yeah.
Nakuda. Everyone has a nakuda. We also have mentioned since then that the light of Elokus is of Nikuda. Just a second, let me just. It's always something which is a bechina for Nikuda. The light, a lot of Nikudas, many of them, but it always comes on just a Nikuda. It's a way to understand this. It's a very deep and profound inyan. The delights of the Lakus always, he starts with the Nakuda. We explained that this is the the fountain, the Yud Vav Daled we said last time. The Yud is in the Kuda, that's the fountain where the water comes out. So the spout is always in the Kuda. Then you have the Yud, which is the drawing, the Amshacha of the water, of the Shefa, whatever the Shefa is. You bring it from the source to its destination. And the Dalet represents the Malchus, that's a destination. So you have the Yud is just a dot. Now, theoretically, a dot really does not have a metzias. A dot is an agreement that something is located at this point. You can measure it from the right, from the left, from up and down, longitudes, out, whatever, you can do it. But in the Kuda, geometrically, something that it takes no place. It's no room. If it takes room, then it's a circle. It's no longer in the Kuda. The Kuda is.
And when you say Nikuda, can you translate what does Nikuda mean again? It's, I think, an opinion or is
And Nikuda is a source.
the source.
Nikuda is a source.
A source of what? A
Of
source.
Shefa. It's of a Shefa, a source of light, a source of Elokus. Everything comes from, the source of everything starts with the Nikuda.
Mhm.
If you want to go a little deeper, why it has to be Dafka and Nikuda? Why not, triangle? I don't know, why not? Triangle's nice. Up to point. The Nikuda is as follows. The it says, why was the world created? Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world using 10 ma'amoris, 10 sayings. V'yom Elokim, let this be that, let be light. V'yom Elokim, 10, basically it's 9 times the Gemara says, Bereshis bara is also a mama, even though it doesn't say, Hashem said, let there be a beginning. The Bereshis is also a saying, it's also a mama. So Pirkei Avos is a very famous Mishnah. It says, why was the world created using 10 sayings? Obviously, the world could have been created with one saying. The world can do anything. Why use 10 when you can use one? That's what the Mishnah says, because. And the Mishnah says an answer which obviously explains the question, but it also leaves open another question. The Mishnah says the reason why the world was created with 10 sayings instead of one is to give schar to the tzaddikim that are mekayim. They prop up a world that was created with 10 ma'amoros, and to be able to give oynish and punishment to the Rishonim that are ruining, destroying a world was created with 10 ma'amoros. That's what the Mishnah says. So, in on itself, the question is like, what does that answer? I mean, you could say something about one, right? World said with one maimon, give schar to those who keep the world that was made with one maimon, and give punishment to the shayim that were that are destroying the world was created by Maimar? The answer is that one Maimar, in one, as the Rebbeinu says, in singularity, there cannot be a situation of Bechir, of Schar and Onush. There has to be at least two, good and bad. In one, the Rebbe says the Echad is Kulotev. Where it says first, a Keser is Ein Echad Rachmi, it's one eye of Rachamim. So if everything remains one, there has to be a duality. There has to be a situation that you can choose, and choice is only available from, when there's plurality, and the minimum is two. One good, one bad. Anything is one is per definition good. So there has to be more than one. So comes the question, okay, so why not two? Create the world with two Maimaros. 3, 15, 67 and a half, Dafka 10. A possible answer for that is because what is 10? 1 and a 0. The numbers really end, the digits really end with 9. 10 is really just another 1, a new level of 1. So 10, in a sense, combines both qualities. On one hand, it's unity. It's 1 unit of 10. You're starting with 1. Nevertheless, it has the plurality in it. It's 10. So I always say, so here you see that
the guy Alan wants the meeting numbers.
hold on just 1 second. I have to put this
Sorry to
on.
disturb this.
Hold on just 1 second. We have to put this on. Hold. Going. Okay. We'll continue. I'm sorry for breaking up the thought. So anyhow, so what we're seeing here is that 10 is really 10 nakudas, right? It's 10 dots. It's 10 nakudas. The light of a lakus is always comes in the form of a nakuda. Because a nakuda is something that at the same time is quote unquote not existent, because we say nakuda doesn't take any space, right? It's just an agreed location or whatever. On the other hand, it's the source, it's the opening for everything. For lakus, all the water to come out, the light to come out, right? So it's a very sophisticated concept where everything comes out of nothing. It's not mamish nothing, it's an akuda. There's already something there. But it's what they call, it's a mashu. It's a mashu. From that comes, everything flows from that. The same thing exists, when the tzaddik gives the light of the tzaddik flows again from a nakuda, from a dot. And it needs to be connected to. And what you need to do is you need to open up the source, the nakuda, and draw the water or the shefa or the bounty, whatever you want to call it, from a yud to a vav. And from there to a dalet, to a malchus. So we have the essence comes from the yud. The keli, the thing that receives it, is the vav. This is the thing that draws it into you. So we said that there are three ways for a person to annihilate, to wipe off the bad, corrupted loves that cover the heart and cause a shame. That is connecting to the tzaddik, the nekuda of the tzaddik, the delight of the tzaddik. Then there is connecting to the nekuda of a friend. To speak to a friend, how do you figure this out? How do you understand this? How can you understand that? Whatever it is. This is what friends are for. Friends are there to tell each other the truth. Okay, so that's what friends are for. The idea is not to be drinking buddies, right? Even though it can be popcorn buddies, that's okay. But the idea is friends exist in order to tell each other the truth. And then there is nekudas atzmai, nekuda of a person with his own heart. And we went through this quite at length that when you speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu, this is how you're connecting to your heart. Baruch Hu speaks to you from your heart. And you speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu, by speaking onto your heart. I said the Rishonim speaks from within the heart. And the tzaddikim, libam yirshusam. The Chana medaberes al liba. She's talking onto the heart. Another way of understanding it is that, every person has a seichel. A seichel is a nekuda. The heart is feelings, cravings. The question is who's boss? The mind is a cold instrument. Just says right, wrong, that's it. It also has, limitations. You have that much IQ and that's it. You have more. You can say whatever it is, but the heart on the other hand, it just wants. There's a rhyme or reason. Why do you feel this? What do you mean I feel? I feel this. What do you mean, why do I feel this? I feel it because I feel it. It said that I can go around and find out, what it is that causes, that causes these feelings. In fact, the feelings were mapped out very carefully. Different kind of feeling, happy, sad, prideful, worthy, worthless, blah, blah, blah. They came up with 114 feelings, different ones. Nevertheless, the idea is to connect the mind to the heart. And remember, it says most of the mouth to the heart. The mouth specifically is the fountain. This is ptach picha, open up your mouth, v'ya'ir dvarecha, let your words shine. The mouth is the ultimate source. It's also the diburim is how you know what your friend wants. It comes, his nekudas come out from his mouth, right? How do you know what the melech wants? How do you know what the Rebbe says? How do you know what the mouth comes out? That's the source. The heart is the recipient. That's the one that has to be dragged, screaming and kicking to do the right thing or not to do the wrong thing. So these are the three nekudas. Then we
look at it's so that the thoughts emanate from the heart. The thoughts emanate from the heart.
I don't know, I'm telling you what I know. What?
Look at the Eitzot.
Okay. Well, you caught me.
No, right. You didn't say. You said they emanate. You didn't say that. You didn't say.
I said it said though. As we're talking over here is that every heart has a nekuda, and the mouth needs to connect to that nekuda which is relevant to the heart at that time. That's all I know. It's what's written here. I don't know, can I explain? I mean, I'm sure that there is a lot of.
So saying the
Bechirus.
Likud is in the heart too,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
That's the source of the thoughts is the heart.
Yeah, so no, the source of thought is the mind.
No, but that's the
feelings
mind is the heart too.
Yeah, in a chinam.
I'll show you where it says it.
No, I understand. So Rabbeinu says you're supposed to connect the mouth to the nekuda that is shaykh to your heart at that point in time. The nekuda is obviously in the heart, but the heart doesn't have the wherewithal to figure it out. You need the mind to do that. The heart has the nekuda. I mean, a person can go around really despondent, really miserable. The heart doesn't have the wherewithal to explain why my feelings so miserable. So I have to connect my mind to it. I have to, my mouth to it and speak to the heart. Says, what am I upset about? Okay, this one did this, or this one did that, or I'm feeling this, or I don't feel worthy of it, whatever it is. Then you can figure out what the nub of the matter is. The nekuda is still in the heart. But you have to find it. You have to, you have to verify it. You have to sort of purify and identify what that point is, and give the answer that it looks for, or the down for, whatever. So he says, the Meshal Rabbeinu says, you should understand, the principle is that the control in this world was given over to the tzaddik. It's not because he's a nice guy. Obviously, yes, but it's not because of that. It's not because his name is Yossi or Nachman, or Zurich, or Shlomo. It's not because of that. It's because the tzaddik has a role, and his role is to shine. He's the tree. He's the source. His role is to shine a lakus to the hearts of the branches that come out of it. Moshe Rabbeinu is is comprised of all 600,000 Nishmas Yisrael. He is their root. He is the klal and they are the prat. And he's supposed to shine into each and every one. Now, and the idea is to shine, Eros Lakutz, and wake them up. Awaken them to Avodas Hashem. That's what needs to be done. Because if you ask, why does the tzaddik need to do this? Why you have to give him control over the whole reality, everything. If you only Sefer Amida says, the tzaddik has a reshus to use the entire bria, to bring a person close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. In other words, no expenses spared. Do whatever it takes. Bring him alive. Not that bring him alive. To awake a Jew to Avodas Hashem. So why is he given such huge leeway? Some immense wherewithal with which to do it. The answer is because he has to do something which is in a certain way contradictory. There is a famous Likutey Moharan that the Baal Shem Tov told a person, a tzaddik, just 1 second, I apologize to all those who are watching or will be watching. He told one of his talmidim, one of his, that a grandchild of his will have the ability to help people that have bechira. And that person lived for a long time, over 100 years. And he went to Rabbeinu's uncle, the Baruch of Mezhibah, and he heard him say, yeah, but how can you help a Baal Bechira? So he said, then you're not the one that your grandfather told me about. And then he came to Rabbeinu, who was very young. And Rabbeinu says that the main thing is to help a Baal Bechira. So that old tzaddik says, Mistaman Baal Shem Tov was talking about you, and very shortly thereafter he passed away. What does it mean to help a Baal Bechira? Everybody's Baal Bechira, right? All the tzaddikim, their job is to gather everybody around and, let's do what needs to be done. The answer is that to awaken somebody to avodas Hashem, in the usual manner, the way that the tzaddikim always do it, is either they give you a club that you can join, or maybe you're born into, and basically you're there, they're doing their thing. In order to wake you up to avodas Hashem, the tzaddikim, the big tzaddikim, I'm not talking about small, but the big tzaddikim, what they had to do, in order to elevate somebody, they basically took away his bechira. In other words, they blasted him with such immense amount of revelation, of godliness, that, here I am, But that's not bechira. The whole trick, but if you don't wake them up to this, then they remain like pieces of wood. They know what they were before, just sometimes not, but basically that's not what Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted. Kodesh Baruch Hu, we learned in Sipurei Maisa, Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted a son, not a daughter, made of good of precious gems. It says he wanted a son. Son would just be Dvekas Alakus, will burn to Kodesh Baruch Hu, not somebody who will, okay, no problem, maybe a tzaddik will sing spears, whatever, but that's not the tachlis. The tachlis is like, as Rabbeinu says, truly you are Elohim, but that's not what I meant. I wanted you to be like animals in the forest, roaring all night long. That's what I wanted. I wanted you to be burning the Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's not going to happen by itself. On the other hand, if you make it happen, you take away the bechira. So how do you do it without doing it? That's essentially what you need to do. That's what it means to help a Baal Bechira. It means you help him, but he remains with the Bechira. Rabbeinu said so about himself. It says, anybody that comes to me has the same level of free choice when he touches the handle outside my door, and when he touches the handle from inside my door, going out. In other words, his bechira did not change before and after. How do you bring a person to a whole different level of kedusha without changing his bechira? This is something which is tata de satra. It's for this, you need to have a control of the entire reality. To bring things about, to cause things to happen, for a person to come around without forcing it in order to give a possible mashal, possible mashal. We'll say a chess grandmaster. He plays chess with you, all right? The idea is not for him to checkmate you in 5 moves, which he obviously can do. That's not the point. A chess grandmaster can play you a game, you choose your moves, and he can manipulate you using your free moves to any point on the chessboard that he wants. Basically, he's just going to make moves that will make you choose if you're a normal person, right? I'm not going to say anything stupid. If you're a normal person, you're going to move, you're going to use your free choice, and he manipulates exactly to where he wants you to be. You know, you're going to be exactly where it's at. This is a possible muscle to that Indian. Whereas you bring him to where you want him to be, and he's the one who made all the choices. What about? It's a muscle of Rabbi Kaplan. Give credit where credit is due. So now we are in Seif Gimel, in which Rabbeinu sort of like codifies that mahalach, which is the Nekuda shines to the heart, the mouth actually connecting to the Nekuda in the heart. And it says as follows. Hainu, the Yosef Rashal, Yosef is the ruler. He's the one who runs the show, which is the tzaddik with the Shem Rabbis. Ubchinas Malufim. Malufim is an old Hebrew way of saying the nikud of shuruk. The nikuda of shuruk. Shuruk is that point that you put inside the letter vav. It makes it go ooh. Right? Ooh. Wow. Ooh, right? If you put the nikuda on top of the vav, it'll be oh, right? Put it underneath the vav, it'll be V, right? But if you put it in the middle of the vav, inside the vav, such as it is, it will become an u. In modern Hebrew, it's called shuruk. An u sound. If you're Hasidic, it's called an e sound.
I'm sorry, I missed. So the sack is moving our pieces around.
Yeah, with this,
I was
you were busy. So what we're saying is that the tzaddik has to manipulate you into serving Kodesh Baruch Hu while maintaining your free choice. And we said that the muscle we gave for that is a chess grandmaster that can play you chess. You make your own moves. You choose which moves you want. But he's so good at what he does that he's able to manipulate you to any position on the board that he wants. You made the moves. It was your moves. But he's so smart that he elicited from you choices that got you exactly the position that you wanted. That's a good muscle for that. So this bechina of Yosef Hashalit, Uchat Malufim, that nikud, that what you call nikud says in the Shar Tzion that the bris, it says Moshe Kosov in Tikkun HaNefesh, bris is Merkava LaYesod. The Osbris Kodesh is a chariot to the sphere of the Yesod. Now, every single sphere has its own Shem Havaya, right? Havaya with a different kind of nikud, different kind of vowelization, different vowels, right? And the Havaya of the bris, that is the Yesod, the Havaya of the Yesod, the Shem Havaya of the Yesod, the nikud is Malufim. Is what you call shuruk today, you know, that which means that what it actually means, what the Sharatzin is saying is that anybody who keeps his covenant, who is guarding his kedusha, he becomes a mishkan, he becomes a residence for the sphere of the Yesod. And the Shem Havaya of the Yesod, like every single other sphere, has an Havaya with different Nikud. The Nikud, the vowels of the Havaya of the Yesod is Malufim. In other words, you have as follows, like the Yud, and then you have the Vav, and then you have, the following the first Yud comes the Vav. Basically, it's Yud K Vav K, right? So the Yud will have a Vav with a point in it after it. The Hey will have a Vav with a point right after it. Then the Vav will have a Vav with a point in it, after it. And the last Hey will have a Vav with a point after it. So you have a Yud and a Vav with a Nekuda, and you have a Vav with a Nekuda, and a Vav, and then a Vav with a Nekuda, then a Hey, then a Vav with a Nekuda after it. Okay? So we call it Shuruk in modern Hebrew. In the language of Kabbalah, it's called Malufim or Melopum. Melopum in Aramaic means a filled mouth. Melopum. Melo means full. Pum is pipume, from the mouth. And that's in Ki Amalufim hu ha'oisius Melopum. The word Melopum is containing the letters of a filled mouth. Melopum. Lahiris, to express a principle. Sheklei Shefa, the kelim of the Shefa, the kelim that give over the Shefa and accept the Shefa, which is the mouth of the tzaddik, is filled with a lakus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everyone says, why does it have to be in the mouth? Everyone says, lichur kasha. There's a kasha there. Why do we need to daven? Why do we need to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu what we want? It's Hashem Yisbach Yodei Machshavos, because Baruch Hu can read our minds. He knows what we want. The dibur is the vessels of shefa. It has to pass through that. Not only to give over the shefa, with this you receive the shefa. K'mo shekosov, it says in Sefer Dvarim, "V'daber eschem kasher diber lachem." V'yivarach eschem, Hashem will bench you kasher diber lachem. Lefi hadibur ken hashefa. According to how the dibur is, this is how the shefa comes. Im hadibur, if the dibur is the way it's supposed to be, it's complete, it's undamaged, it's not. You can receive, filled with Sheva. What happens if you have a bucket and there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, right? So what do? You're going to put water in it, what's going to happen to the water? Come right out, So fix it, But if the bucket is complete, you can fill up the bucket, right? The deeper of a person, the speech of a person, if it's damaged with a dibur, which is inappropriate, which is asa, such as lasanor, such as hibul, such as things that should not be said, kalos roish, whatever, litzonos. That damages. It's not just okay. So I said, it's a big deal. It's only words. No. It's not just words. You are making a hole in the bucket, dude. You're damaging your shefet. והדיבורים של הצדיק בוודאי בשלימוס ובמלואו. The dibbur of tzaddik is bevadai, complete and full the way it's supposed to be. That's why the tzaddik can accept the shefa of Klal Yisrael. That's why the tzaddik is called a filled mouth. Mouth that is filled with bracha, filled with shefa, in order to show that his mouth is complete. And Rabbeinu says, so Mimela, we explained that tzaddik has the memshala to act as he sees fit. Point number one. His main memshala, the main thing that he needs to do is to awaken Am Yisrael to avodas Hashem. Number two. And he has that aspect of malupum, filled mouth. The vessels of shefa by the tzaddik are complete. And this is how he is able to bestow and give every single Jew the shefa. Now, we're going to go to the next Siman Dalet, where we're going to go to the next principle that shows that every Jew has within his own heart the Likutey Moharan.
Question?
Yes.
Heart. The heart. This, like a brain, I can relate to. It's my brain. I'm thinking. I'm using my brain to think. The heart, is that for emotion? Is that the purpose? Like,
It's more than just that. Emotion is part of it, but the greater function of the heart is koyach hamadam, is the ability to estimate, to surmise, and to put together pieces that are not seemingly overtly connected. Koyach hamadam is good of the imagination, you can call it. It is a tricky business. It's a tricky customer. On one hand, you can take things that, the mind wouldn't get what's the connection between them. Let's say that you are in the army and you're going to ambush because they tell you that some terrorists are going to attack at a certain place. Okay? So you're lying in wait. You're ambushing. Right? It's midday, walking in the desert or bushes, whatever it is. You don't see anything. Right? Suddenly, your eye, which is your brain, okay, sees, in a bush, glint. Just a single glint. Could be anything. Right? Your mind cannot do anything else with it. But your heart already knows something. Let's take a look. And then you sort of you see that behind the bush, the little fragments that sort of make up a form of a person holding a gun. Right? Putting that the picture, this is the heart. This is koyach hamadam. You don't see it, the person. You surmise, you put together one and one, that supposedly, if you were just to look, if your mind were to look at the bush, you wouldn't see it. It takes the idea, excuse me, of thinking out of the box. Does it work? And put the picture together. So the Madama is an unbelievable mechanism. Ad kadei kach, that's how the Nevi'im received the Nevuah. B'yad Nevi'im Adam. In the hands of the Nevi'im, I shall be imagined. That means that it takes, a very powerful imagination to receive prophecy. you understand exactly, what the problem here is, right? That is that, should try to change here. All right, we'll just leave it at that. It means that the same way that it can put together like really far out thing that makes sense of seemingly, unrelated details and make a coherent picture out of it. It can also make, mountain out of molehill. It can very easily lead you astray. In fact, anybody and everybody who's insane, just because his mind is like, his koyach hamadam just takes over. Ad kedei kach, the Rabbeinu says that the Yetzer Hara should be given a different name. The name it says should not call him Yetzer Hara anymore, but call him koyach hamadam. Madam. That should be the name of this, because when you actually come to think of it, the only thing that the Yetzer Hara does is gives you the impression that the point of view of this world is the name of the game. It's the name of the game. This is it. That's what it's about. Now, we learned last night that it's a step-by-step process. And when we all say, that the main thing is the tachlis and the lamabo and whatever it is, but then we want to watch the Super Bowl. It's like, are you supposed to? What do you mean supposed to? When you're leaving it in a level of supposed to or not supposed to, then the question, okay, let's say I'm not supposed to. But how not supposed to am I? It becomes a game. But if we're you to look at this from point of view of Olam Haba, and you realize that you have to give account of every moment, of every thought, of every word and every deed that you said in your life, suddenly, if you actually look at things from this point of view, the game becomes a very big deal. All kinds of questions here. I'm not going to just, we're not talking about the commercial breaks, these things that you see that you're not supposed to see. I'm not even talking about the Bittul Torah, because that's what every single moment we're in Torah. Look at the question of Moshe Leitzim, whatever it is that is involved in that. But nevertheless, I'm looking for, I'm willing to keep myself up, to keep myself rejuvenated, to keep myself entertained, whatever it is. And I'm using the football game or a baseball game, to keep myself, from wallowing in my own sorrow, whatever you want. Why am I wallowing in sorrow? And how does a football game, a baseball game, or basketball game help? The answer is because my point of view, even though I talk the talk and I'm saying all the right things, really where my point of view is almost. Therefore, I'm below time and place. I'm getting upset when people upset me. I'm getting hurt when people don't give me enough cover. Whatever, this is all Olam Haba thing. So whatever it is, what, I get overwhelmed, whatever it is, because nobody can have it all, right? So at least, let me just put the world on pause and let me watch a game, like this. At least I have a shikul mamilcha, right? But even take a look at the whole thing from an Olam Haba point of view. It was okay, let's run the video. Let's see what it is that you did with your time. What were you thinking while that was going on? And the Gemara says some pretty harsh things about, when a person does, but Maseches Tainus now, it's what does call a punishment at tzibur? Anybody who separates himself from the tzibur, is not mishtate from the tzar of the tzibur, is going into his house and say everybody's hungry outside. He's inside his house. He's eating sushi with some wasabi and some whatever it is, spicy mayo, whatever it is you put on it, and is shomal nafshi. I don't care. That's their problem. That's mine. I'm both Hashem have everything. Let them worry about the whole thing. And it says the Kodesh Baruch gets very upset with us. The Gemara says, okay, who are the witnesses? Who is going to testify that the guy was eating sushi when everybody else was going hungry? So they said the walls of his house. Even mikir kitizok, a stone from a wall, will cry out. A piece of wood, 2x4, will answer, will profess, I saw this guy. He was sitting sushi, all right. He was putting, the ginger, I saw holding myself. It sounds funny, except it's really scary. It's funny when you're under the dominion of the Koach HaBadam. You look at things in this world. What about the next one? That's for the next one. We'll worry about it. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right? Kind of thing. It's just exactly the same thing. It's one thing. But the way you see it, the way you catch it, the way you look at it, the way you interpret it, is Koach HaMadam. The Rabbeinu says that the way to pass this world in one piece, you have to have the Madama. Without the Madama, there's no choice. There's no free choice. Without the Madama, it's even a much bigger thing. Without the Madama, there are things you cannot get to because, as we said in the Nevuah, the thing is as follows. You have the brain that tells you what's right and what's wrong. You have the heart that tells you what you want, what you crave. Hopefully it's not what Cassie. And forget about that. As we said before, the question is who's boss? What happens is, it's not that, listen, sometimes the heart is boss. Sometimes the brain is boss. 50-50, whatever it is. Be a human being, be a mensch. It doesn't work that way. Because the thing is that when the heart is the leader, as we said, the heart is the one that leads. The brain is the servant of the heart. Meaning the brain is putting together the mechanism and the tools with which to fulfill the heart's desire. It could be as sophisticated as Dreamliner, Boeing 787. But it's basically still a tool to fulfill my heart's desire. But when we're talking about hashkafa, we're talking about spiritual matters. What happens is much worse. The brain loses the brain's capacity. The brain main function is to tell you right from wrong. That's what the brain is for, right? But the thing is that when the heart is the leader and the brain is subservient to the heart, the brain becomes the lawyer for the heart. It starts using all the seichel manipulations, all its intellect, to explain why what the heart wants is good. Hence, what you have all over he, him, her, whatever they have, this kind of like a today's everything is it's just goes haywire because the heart is the leader. The brain, and forget, whenever their brain tells them what the heart is telling them is wrong, then the brain is racist. Forget about it. How dare you say that? There's a guy I know that has a very smart guy, he has a blog. He wrote about, took this issue of voter rights they had in some kind of a state, whatever it is, and he analyzed it, whatever. He asked me to read this, so I read it. So I said to him, once I read it, I told him, listen, you made two fatal mistakes. A, you put forth a grotesque suggestion that the truth actually matters. What? Universities stopped talking, philosophy stopped talking about the truth 200 years ago. Truth is not interesting to anyone. Secondly, you're using your intellect. Therefore, you're a racist. Because that gives you an unfair advantage over all the people that either don't have your intelligence or are too lazy to use it. Hence, you should be tarred and feathered and chased out of town. So the brain becomes the lawyer of the heart, just to explain. Listen, you're not really getting it, but this is the thing. That's the way it works. However, but when the heart follows the mind, at first kicking and screaming, ultimately the heart becomes brainy. What does it mean? It means that the heart is educated and gets used to wanting only that which the mind says is good. That's a very special state. Because the heart can contain things that are way beyond the mind's capacity. It can do things way beyond the mind can do. The mind can do what it can do. It's a square thing. As I said, it's a cold instrument. What it can do, it can do. What it can't. The heart can believe in it as well. You can encapsulate the entire lakus in your heart. There's no limit. If the heart is kept in line and is educated by doing consistently again and again and again that which is right, then it will become a lev shomer. That's what Shlomo HaMelech asked from Kodesh Baruch Hu. He says, I have to judge the people. Give me a lev shomer, a hearing heart. And I should remove the stone heart from you. Lev basar. This is Terech HaBeis. It becomes basar l'chalchal. You get sensitized, and then you can follow. Then forget other, but then your neshama can lean. When the neshama has a down day, a bad hair day, then the neshama can get up to its madrega through the pleasure of the body. A person who has a guf kosher, is really what's supposed to be, you can eat a piece of chocolate and bring the neshama back to its tanugim. It's a very great thing. But if the body is very hard, crude in the boldness, in the coarseness of the heart, forget it, get down. So this is H1 Israel. There is a tzaddik, Pchinas tzaddik Moshel. Bezat Hashem, this is Sif Dalet, and we will get back to it in Mitzvah Hashem next Thursday. Right? Let me see here. I can never really figure out how to do this. Hold on. Let's just keep recording. Now.